Welcome, Chisholm Trail 61. Today we're going to do another meal in a jar. It's going to be another pressure cannon meal in a jar. We're going to do bourbon chicken, but it's going to be bourbonless. We're not going to put bourbon in our chicken, but it's going to be the bourbon chicken. And I'm going to show you how to do that coming up right now. Okay, the first thing we're going to need is our chicken. I've got about 4 pounds of chicken thighs here, the boneless chicken thighs. And first thing you want to do, you want, if you, mine's slightly frozen because I like to cut meat when it's slightly frozen. It's like if you got big pieces of fat on them like this, you want to just sort of trim that down and trim that away. Because you don't, when you're canning, you don't want all that fat in your meat. I mean, in your jar, because it can cause your jars not to seal, and fat causes a lot of grease, and the grease, can go rancid over time. But anyway, what you want to do is just cut your chicken thighs to where they're cut them up. We're going to cut these in about bite-sized pieces, about a 1-inch square in bite-sized pieces. And a lot of people think that bourbon chicken is called bourbon chicken because of the bourbon that's in the original recipe. But the real reason that bourbon chicken was named bourbon chicken was the man who invented the bourbon chicken recipe was a chef in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he had a place on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. And so that's the actual reason that bourbon chicken is called bourbon chicken. It has nothing to do with the bourbon being in the recipe. So just a bit of information there. But like I said, we're just going to cut our chicken up into about bite-sized pieces here. And then we'll bring you back whenever we get to the next step. Okay, we got all our chicken cut up here, and you can see we got it cut in just about bite-sized pieces. Like I said, we got about 4 pounds there. So what we're going to do now, you never use oil or grease to can with, but this recipe here does allow for about a tablespoon of oil in it to cook up and brown your chicken. And we're not going to cook chicken all the way through. We're only going to brown it. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil. Well, that's bacon grease. I save my bacon grease. Those that watch my channel know that. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of bacon grease in this pot here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it get hot. And we're just going to sort of get a slight brown on our chicken. We're going to do this in batches. We're just going to get a single layer of chicken in here. And we're going to just get a brown going on it. Just sort of a slight crust on it's what we're going to do. We're not going to try to do all the chicken at one time. We'll probably have, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 batches here that we're going to do. But you can see about how much we got in there. And what we're going to do, we're going to just let this brown, and we're going to stir it, every couple minutes till we get it browned on all sides, just slightly brown, not really a dark brown, but just slight brown on all sides. And then we'll bring you back at that point and I'll show you the next step. We got all of our chicken, just a light coat of browning on it. You can see we just got a light coat of browning on it. It is nowhere near to where I would be willing to eat it right now. But what we're going to do, you can see in the pan where we browned it. Now we're going to put our stuff back in this same pan because that's all goodness in there. That's flavor in there. So we don't want to lose that flavor. So we're going to pour this in, and I'm going to tell you what I got in here. What I have in this here, get it all right down, is I have 3/4 teaspoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 1/2 cup of apple juice, 3/4 cup of chicken broth, 2/3 a cup soy sauce, 1/2 cup of ketchup, 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to turn the burner on here about medium high, and we're going to stir this a little bit. And what we want to do is we're going to bring that back up to a boil. And when we bring it to a boil, we're going to simmer it 5 minutes. I just want to stir it around a little bit here and make sure our brown sugar's dissolved there. And by doing it back in that same skillet, we're going to scrape up all that browning on the bottom of our pot there, and that's going to put all that flavor right back into this chicken. So now we're just going to dip our chicken right back out into here. Now it's not going to be soupy, but it'll be good. Believe me, I've done this before, and this is really good. I mean, we love this stuff. You can put this over rice. You can put it over mashed potatoes. You can put it just eat it by itself. It's like if you go into the Chinese deal in the mall food court, they always have bourbon chicken in there, and that's what we're doing right here. It's the same thing that you get in the mall food court if you go in there and order bourbon chicken, and you can get it off of most Chinese food buffets, the bourbon chicken. Now I don't want that grease and stuff where we cook that, that's run off our chicken sitting in that pan. We don't want all that. So we're going to do that just like that. And then we're just going to stir it around. Give it a good stir there. Get all of our meat coated. And like I said, we're going to bring this up to a boil. And then we're going to turn our heat down. And we're going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes. And while that's happening, we're going to go ahead and get our canner ready. So we'll be back whenever this is ready to put in the jars. Okay, we've simmered our bourbon chicken here for about 5 minutes now. And we're ready to put it in the jars. You can see the steam coming off now. Jars are hot. Canner's over there is hot. Hot product going in hot jars. What you want to do, you want to just ladle it over into your jars. You want to be sure that you get plenty of liquid now. And the liquid is going to be runny, I mean, it's not going to be a real thick broth right now. But what you do is when you take it out, whenever we open up a jar, what you do is you take and add like a tablespoon of cornstarch to it. And that cornstarch will thicken it up while you're warming it up. If you can something, they say you don't have to anymore if you follow all the guidelines, but I still like to boil anything I can for 10 minutes before I eat it. And the reason I do that is because being boiled at 10 minutes is long enough that it will kill any botulism or germs or anything like that that's in it. Now it may make you just a little bit sick, even at that, but it's not gonna kill you. By boiling it for the 10 minutes, that'll destroy all the botulism and stuff that may be in your got in your food. Now I'm not telling you to do that to bad food. I mean, if your jar don't seal, you need to eat it within 48 hours. Put it in the refrigerator and eat it within 48 hours. But now, if your jar is good, and something went wrong on the shelf, like it just sat there and you're a little bit afraid of it, there's maybe something in it, just boil it for 10 minutes. And as long as you got a good seal on your jar and it's not been, years ago, then when you did it, then it should still be good. Now we got our jars filled to 1 inch headspace, and we're just going to debubble now. Go back through and debubble. And like I said, our chicken is not done neither. Now our chicken is not ready to eat at this point. We wouldn't want to eat the chicken at this point. We're going to set that aside, and we're just going to check our headspace here. Make sure that we're okay on our headspace everywhere. Yeah, probably put just a drop or two in a couple of them. So we just want to check our headspace, make sure that we're good on our headspace. They actually say the headspace for chicken now is like 1.5 inches headspace. Anyway, next thing you want to do is just, we got it debubbled, we got our headspace right. We want to take and dip a napkin in distilled white vinegar, and we're just going to wipe the jars. Now these jars are hot, so it's sort of hard to hold on to that. But we want to wipe our rims. Now our jars are clean, they've been cleaned, they was washed in the dishwasher. And we've checked around, made sure that there wasn't any cracks in the tops of our jars or anything like that. We inspected our jars. We're just going to wipe around here. Just make sure you know that you don't have anything on there. You can see a little bit of brown on that. I don't know if you can see that or not out of that light. Maybe I can get it where you can see it there. See like that little bit of brown there that come off of there? That's stuff that you don't want on your jar. Because just that little bit right there could keep that jar from sealing up for you. So you don't want anything on there. So you wipe it good. I like to use vinegar regardless of what I'm canning. Even if I'm just canning beans, you know, I like to use vinegar because that vinegar will cut that grease or anything that's in there, and it'll get it all off of there where you don't have to worry about it. And we want to just center our lids on. Take our bands. Just go fingertip tight. Now fingertip tight just with your fingers. When the jar starts turning like that on its own. You don't have to have it real, you know, you don't want to crank down on it, because what has to happen during the canning process, the air has to be able to escape from that jar. And then whenever the canning process is over and you take it out and set it out, it tries to suck air back in it, and that's what creates that seal for it. We're just going to put these in the canner, and then we try to get these going. These have to can, since we're doing pants, these are canned for 75 minutes. And so 75 minutes on all your meats except seafood. Now seafood is different. And what we're going to do now, we're going to put our lid on. We've inspected our lid. What you want to do, you want to inspect your lid and make sure your little lock there works. You want to look through your vent hole and make sure you can see light through your vent hole. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but you want to be able to see light through your vent hole. And then you want to be sure that your gasket is in place and in good shape all the way around. Make sure that your little safety pop-up valve is in place good. And you want to once a year have your, if you're using a dial gauge, pressure gauge, you want to take it to your local county extension office, and they'll test it for you for free. Need to do that once a year. Now we're just going to lock our lid down on here, and we're going to turn our burner to between medium and high, and we're going to bring it up. This starts blowing steam. Our little lock pops up. We'll put our weight on. I had to can 12 pounds pressure for my altitude. When it gets 12 pounds pressure, I'll start me a timer for 75 minutes, and I'll turn my pressure down and just keep it at 12 pounds pressure. Now, if that pressure drops at any point during the canning, then we have to start that 75 minutes all over again. So anyway, we'll bring you back and give you a peek whenever this starts blowing steam and our locks up when we get ready to put the top on. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, but our vent's blowing a steady line of steam there. We got a good steam coming out, steady steam. Our little lock is popped up on the counter. So what we want to do now at this point is we're just going to set us a timer for 10 minutes. And at the end of that 10 minutes, we'll bring you back and show you the next step. Okay, our timer's just about to go off here on our 10 minutes. And there it goes right there. So we're going to cut our timer off. All we're going to do is we're just going to take our weight here and we're going to just put our weight down on our thing. You see our lock is still up and we got our weight on our cockpit here. And so what we got to do now is we're going to wait till we build up 12 pounds of pressure according to my altitude. Now your altitude may be different, so you may have a different amount of pressure you need to can it. But for my pressure, I can at 12 pounds of pressure. I'm going to wait and let it build up to 12 pounds of pressure, and then I'll bring it back at that point. Okay, you can see we're at 12 pounds of pressure now. So what we're going to do, we're just going to turn our burner down to our sweet spot. And you'll learn where your sweet spot is on your stove as you work with it more and more. But we just got to maintain the 12 pounds of pressure all the way through the 75-minute timer. Now we're going to set our timer here for 75 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And if this pressure drops below 12 pounds at any point during that hour and 15 minutes, then we got to start that hour and 15 minutes over once again. So we want to just maintain that 12 pounds of pressure throughout our canning process, and then we'll bring you back at the end of the 75 minutes. Now, if we were doing quarts, we'd be 90 minutes, but with pints, it's only 75. Okay, our timer's fixing to go off here, and what we're going to do, you see, we're still maintaining our 12 pounds of pressure there. So all we're going to do is just reach around and cut our burner off at this point. And we're just going to leave this setting. We're going to let our pressure drop all the way back down to 0. We're going to let our little lock here drop down. And then when that happens, that'll take about 30 to 40 minutes. We want to just let it set, not touch it. And when that happens, we'll bring you back at that point. Okay, our pressure's down to 0. Our little lock is dropped all the way down there. So what we want to do, we want to take and open, well, first we want to take our weight off, be sure there's no pressure left in there. Then we want to open our lid up. And what we want to do, we want to always open it up away from you so that that steam doesn't hit you in the face. Now I'm just going to set this over here to the side, and then I'm going to get my jar lifter, and I'm just going to take this out and keeping it up straight. And we're going to set it down. Notice we got a towel on our island here now. That you never want to set your hot jars down on just a wood surface. You always want to have something under them, because if that wood's the least bit cold, it could break your jar, because these jars are extremely hot. I'm going to get me a fork that I can take that rack out with. Oh, this is going to be hot. I'm just going to lay it over here to the side. And I'm going to take the rest of our chicken out. And there it is. 4 jars of bourbon chicken. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but they're still bubbling, boiling inside. There goes one of them just popped and sealed. So you can hear them popping and sealing there. But when you go to cook this, now typically this is served with rice. You can serve it with rice. You can serve it with mashed potatoes, whatever you want. But it's not going to be real thick. The juice is not going to be. But what you do, just take about a tablespoon of cornstarch when you go to warm it back up and put it in with it. And it'll thicken right up while you're warming it back up. It's a meal to go. It's already cooked. Your chicken's going to be fully cooked in there during the canning process. So anyway, there you have it. Four pints of bourbon chicken. That's how you can do your bourbon chicken. Just pull it off the shelf and heat it up and it's ready to go. But anyway, give the video a thumbs up if you would. Subscribe to our channel. We appreciate all that do. We appreciate all that take time out of their day to watch our videos. We'll be around on the next one.